I have often felt like the most unfortunate person alive, and this feeling seems to have originated from the very day I was born. My streak of misfortune has persisted and only worsened over time, with my 18th year marking the pinnacle of despair. It all began when my parents abandoned me as a baby, leaving me in the care of my Aunt Reagan. However, she already had a full household to tend to, including her husband, Uncle Joseph, and my cousins, who did not welcome my arrival with open arms. Instead, they harbored resentment, making me feel like an unwanted burden. Consequently, I never truly experienced the warmth of a family. My lack of familial support was compounded by a lack of friends. The children at my school shunned me, fearing that my ill fortune might somehow rub off on them. To make matters worse, they cruelly nicknamed me Violet, eventually coining the moniker Unlucky Violet. This derogatory title stuck with me throughout my high school years. Academic success eluded me, and I perpetually found myself picked last for teams. The prospect of dating was equally bleak, as nobody wanted to associate with a girl born under such an unfortunate star. Thus, I grew up as one of the loneliest individuals imaginable. My isolation was further exacerbated by the absence of both friends and a genuine family. I became just another mouth to feed in my aunt's household. It's said that bad luck comes in threes, and in my case, the worst of misfortunes struck on 3 separate occasions. The first calamity occurred on my 13th birthday. While innocently walking home from school, a beehive suddenly plummeted from a tree, landing precisely where I stood. Initially, I was bewildered, but the growing buzzing sound around me quickly signaled danger. The bees launched a frenzied attack, swarming around me and inflicting numerous painful stings, leaving me with honey dripping down my face. I rushed home, frantically waving my arms above my swollen face. Upon my arrival, nobody could recognize me in my swollen, balloon-like state. The pain was unbearable, and Aunt Reagan had no choice but to rush me to the hospital. Uncle Joseph grumbled about the substantial medical expenses, seemingly indifferent to my discomfort, not even bothering to conceal his words from my ears. "We can afford this," he muttered, causing a pain deeper than the bee stings themselves. As I turned 16, Aunt Reagan decided to give me a sweet 16 treat, a rare gesture of kindness in a family where I constantly felt like the least important member. We went out for ice cream, just the 2 of us. Perhaps she felt some remorse for my perpetual misfortune. She hoped I would grow into a good person. But I couldn't help but remind her of my perpetual bad luck. "Don't be silly, Violet," she told me that day. "We create our own luck. By striving to be a good person, you can change your fortune." Inspired by her words, that evening I decided to cook dinner for the entire family, despite it being my birthday. I wanted to offer them all a gift and follow Aunt Reagan's advice. However, as I descended into the basement pantry to gather ingredients, I missed a step and tumbled down the stairs. When they eventually discovered me, my arm and leg were already broken. I spent months in casts and weeks confined to my bed. Aunt Reagan sat by my bedside, her sympathy evident in her eyes. "It seems like so many unfortunate events keep happening to you," she sighed. I felt an overwhelming sense of misery and sadness, but I was also gripped by fear. 2 significant incidents had already occurred, and I dreaded what the third might bring. Unlike Aunt Reagan's gentle demeanor, Uncle Joseph lacked patience. He resented having to deliver my meals to my room. "I know it wasn't intentional, Violet," he remarked, "but please be more careful. Our resources are stretched thin as it is, and we can barely afford to feed everyone. And now we have to look after you too," Uncle Joseph grumbled, his words cutting deep into my already wounded heart. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized the burden I had become to them. In those moments of vulnerability, lying in my bed with my injuries, I had plenty of time for introspection. I understood that I needed to take action as soon as I recovered, and the only viable option was to secure a scholarship. To do that, I had to dedicate myself to diligent study. So I did just that. Miraculously, my persistent bad luck no longer seemed to affect my academic performance. My grades improved dramatically, shifting from C's to A's. By the time I turned 18, I had some semblance of confidence in myself. I attempted to suppress thoughts of the impending third catastrophe that seemed inevitable. Fortunately, I managed to earn a scholarship for college, which covered all my expenses. Upon arriving on campus, I was assigned a dorm room and anxiously anticipated meeting my new roommate. I prayed fervently that she would be a good one. My prayers were answered in the form of Eva, who proved to be not just a good roommate, but a fantastic one. From the very first day, we became inseparable best friends. Eva possessed a wonderful balance of conversation and listening, and she was the only person on campus who knew about my unfortunate nickname, Violet. I shared with her my belief that bad luck came in threes, and she dismissed it as nonsense. If you keep thinking about it, it's more likely to happen, so stop dwelling on it, she advised. Focus on positive thoughts instead. Over time, I heeded her wisdom and gradually shifted my perspective. Together, we transformed our dorm room into the most inviting space in the building, consistently keeping it clean and orderly. Our living arrangement was harmonious, and Eva became the best friend I had ever hoped for. Several months later, as Eva approached her own 18th birthday, she invited me to dinner, eager to partake in something that had been unavailable to her as a minor. I know exactly what to do, she declared. Let's buy a lottery ticket, I exclaimed, my excitement palpable. It was a novel experience for me, and I couldn't wait to try my luck. Let's do it, Eva agreed, responding to my enthusiasm. Without hesitation, we headed to the nearest convenience store and purchased tickets, each selecting one for ourselves. As we faced the task of choosing numbers, I decided to go with my own birth dates, while Eva opted for a set of random numbers. The anticipation built within us as we eagerly awaited the results, even though the drawing was still a few days away. During that waiting period, we spent countless hours fantasizing about the things we would do and buy if we happened to win the lottery. Amidst thoughts of extravagant shopping sprees and dream vacations, my mind often gravitated towards the idea of helping Uncle Joseph and Aunt Reagan. Despite Uncle Joseph's grumbling and complaints about my presence, he had still provided me with a roof over my head, clothing, and food. When the fateful night of the drawing arrived, I felt a surge of nervous excitement, convinced that my luck was finally about to change. However, just moments before the numbers were announced, a wave of nausea washed over me. I hastily handed my ticket to Eva, explaining that I urgently needed to use the restroom. I rushed to complete my business as swiftly as possible, anxious to return to our room. When I re-entered, I half expected to find Eva jubilantly celebrating our fortune. Instead, she was calmly sorting through the contents of her handbag. Anxiously, I asked, "Have they announced the numbers? Did we win?" Eva turned to me with a regretful expression. "I'm sorry, Violet. There's no such luck for us tonight," she replied, her tone composed. Crushed by disappointment, I inquired about my ticket, hoping to keep it as a memento, but Eva informed me that she had already torn it up and discarded it, believing that I wouldn't want a reminder of our misfortune. I felt utterly dejected, my hopes of winning dashed in an instant. "Well," I responded with a resigned sigh, "I suppose my streak of bad luck isn't quite over yet." As it turned out, my statement held true. The following morning, my alarm clock blared loudly, eliciting an annoyed cry from Eva in the neighboring bed. "Turn that damn thing off, won't you?" she exclaimed. Offering a mumbled apology, I silenced the alarm and proceeded to get dressed as quietly as possible to avoid further disruption. After completing my lessons for the day, I decided to purchase some food to share with Eva as a gesture of goodwill, hoping to make amends for the morning's disturbance. However, upon my return to our room, Eva was conspicuously absent. I waited as long as I could, growing increasingly concerned. It was unusual for her to spend a night away from our room. The following morning, my worry had grown into a palpable anxiety. Eva's continued absence was perplexing. I reached for my phone and called her. She picked up promptly, explaining that she had to urgently return home due to a family emergency. "I hope everything will be okay," I reassured her with genuine concern. "I'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of days." The room felt lonelier without Eva's presence, but true to her word, she returned after a few days. As she unpacked her bag and revealed an array of new clothes, I exclaimed, "Wow, you didn't mention you went shopping." Eva shrugged and mentioned that they were gifts from her parents. However, the Eva who had come back wasn't the same as the one who had left. Suddenly, everything I did seemed to annoy her. She claimed to be tired of cleaning up after me, even though I had always done my fair share of the chores. In an effort to please her, I thanked her for every little thing, but she continued to appear upset about something. One day, when I returned to the room, I was taken aback to find all of Eva's belongings neatly packed into boxes. She solemnly informed me that she was relocating to another dorm. Confused and a bit despondent, I asked, "Why? What happened?" Eva's response was silence as she declared her need for a change and departed without further explanation. The school facilitated her transfer, and in her absence, I was assigned a new roommate named Natalie, who tended to keep to herself most of the time. My longing for Eva was profound. She had been my first true friend, and it hurt that she no longer wanted to communicate with me. Despite my attempts to reach out, my calls to Eva went unanswered. The next encounter I had with Eva was rather startling. She almost ran me over with her new car as I was crossing the street. A red convertible came dangerously close to sideswiping me. I assumed she would stop to check if I was all right, but upon recognizing me, she simply continued driving. It was a puzzling transformation in her character, as Eva had turned into someone entirely different, almost like a mean girl. As I collected myself from the near miss, a nearby voice asked, "Are you okay?" I turned to see my roommate, Natalie, offering assistance. I got up and brushed the dust off my clothes, confirming that it was indeed Eva behind the wheel. To this, Natalie sniffed and made a disapproving face, remarking, "She's terrible." My former roommate went to high school with her and said Eva was a snob. Furthermore, she revealed that Eva had pressured her into vacating our room so that she could switch places. Despite the lingering resentment from my altercation with Eva, I didn't appreciate hearing Natalie speak ill of her. I defended Eva, suggesting that perhaps she was just having a rough day. Natalie, however, remained firm in her negative assessment, claiming that Eva was genuinely awful. She had even heard rumors that Eva came from a family of gold diggers and opportunists, notorious for their involvement in theft and criminal activities. While no one had ever been caught, the family's reputation was well known. Natalie concluded with a scornful tone, "Money seems to be the most important thing in her life." These accusations were disheartening, and I couldn't help but feel offended on behalf of my former friend. The gossip surrounding Eva painted a complex and troubling picture, leaving me with much to ponder on the way home. Did Eva harbor resentment because I couldn't share some furniture with her? Did she truly desire a wealthier boyfriend? The idea sounded preposterous. I racked my brain, desperately searching for an explanation for why our friendship had seemingly disintegrated. My thoughts eventually led me back to the day everything had changed, the day following the lottery. A sudden tingling sensation rushed through me, prompting me to pull out my phone and search for the winning numbers from that particular day. I couldn't believe my eyes when I found a startling revelation. The numbers were identical to those of my birth date. My ticket had indeed won the lottery, but I had handed it over to Eva. She had seen that my ticket had won and had evidently stolen it to claim the prize for herself. The dilemma loomed. How could I retrieve my rightful winnings? How could I prove that the ticket was originally mine? I located the lottery office online and decided to visit in person. I inquired about the possibility of cashing in a stolen ticket, to which they informed me that the money would be given to whoever presented the ticket, no questions asked. However, if I could provide evidence that the ticket was rightfully mine, I could press charges against the thief for robbery and recover the money. Before confronting Eva with these allegations, I needed to confirm whether she had indeed won the lottery. The lottery office couldn't disclose the winner's name without her consent, so I had to devise a plan. I needed a trustworthy partner for this endeavor, and there was no one better suited for the task than Natalie. Natalie readily agreed, driven by her strong animosity towards Eva. She offered to pose as a reporter, going undercover to uncover the truth behind the lottery win, framing it as a compelling rags-to-riches story for television. To my surprise, Eva confessed to her that she had won. When Natalie probed further, asking how Eva had chosen the winning numbers, Eva responded, "They were just random, you know. Those numbers didn't mean anything to me." Hearing this, anger and frustration surged within me. Those numbers were deeply significant to me, as they corresponded to the dates of my own birth. Eva had truly proven herself to be the worst kind of friend, and I couldn't help but sense that my third stroke of bad luck had arrived, with Eva being its embodiment. Reclaiming the money that was rightfully mine became my priority, but the challenge lay in proving that I had purchased the winning ticket myself. It was then that Natalie had a brilliant idea. "The grocery stores," she exclaimed. "They must have surveillance cameras. They might have video footage of you buying the ticket. You can use that along with your birth certificate to demonstrate that you indeed selected those numbers." Natalie's suggestion was nothing short of ingenious. We wasted no time and rushed to the store that very day to request access to the CCTV footage. Fortunately, we were fortunate in our endeavor. Natalie employed her charm, persuasion skills, and even a touch of intimidation to coax the manager into providing us with a copy of the video. Miraculously, we succeeded. The following day, we proceeded to the police station, where we shared the entirety of our story. The authorities believed us without hesitation. Armed with this compelling evidence, we approached the lottery office, where my claims were also validated. From that point, events unfolded rapidly. Eva was charged with theft, and the remaining winnings were rightfully transferred to me. I even obtained the coveted red convertible. My happiness knew no bounds, and my gratitude towards Natalie was immeasurable. She had proven herself to be a far superior friend compared to Eva. She'd assured me with a smile, "I promise I will never do anything mean or illegal to you. You're a good person, Violet. You've just had a streak of bad luck." Her statement, while an understatement, was certainly accurate, and my fortune was on the cusp of a remarkable change. I returned home once everything had fallen into place. Upon my return, Uncle Joseph's initial reaction was less than enthusiastic. He wore a worried expression as he asked, "Have you found yourself in trouble once more?" I met his concern with a reassuring smile, assuring him that I had not encountered any further misfortunes. "I want to express my gratitude for providing me with shelter," I began. Uncle Joseph appeared stunned as I continued, revealing the incredible news. "I won the lottery," I exclaimed, and then handed him the keys to the convertible. Aunt Reagan, overcome with tears of joy, erupted in jubilant screams. "I can't believe it. It looks like we'll need to retire that old nickname of yours." The most cherished moment, however, was when Uncle Joseph embraced me tightly. Tears welled up in his eyes as he reciprocated my hug. I promised him that I would assist with the household expenses from that point onward. In that heartwarming moment, it felt like a new chapter was beginning. My streak of bad luck appeared to have come to a definitive end, and the anticipation of only good things in my future filled me with optimism and hope.